If you're like most people, spending long hours at your desk, in your car or on your couch, this will leave you with nagging lower back pain and hip pain. But don't worry, today I'm going to show you 5 moves to release tension, strengthen muscles to keep the pain away. Best of all, these movements are quick, beginner friendly, and they can be done right at home. Now when we sit for long hours, our hip flexor muscles shorten and tighten, and also our glutes are weakened. Now most of us do not sit straight all the time, and we tend to slouch after some time, and this is going to put pressure on the lower back and also cause the disc to push out. And we do not want to have a disc herniation or disc bulge situation where the pain is excruciating. The good news is movement equals to relief. So if you are ready, let's begin right now. The first move that I want to share with you is spinal mobilization. Let's practice the cat-cow pose. So let's have our hands shoulder width apart and our knees hip distance apart. You want to ensure that the shoulders stack over your wrists and you do not hyperextending your elbows, and your knees hip distance apart. You can relax your toes, or you can tuck your toes as long as you start with the neutral spine alignment. Now inhale here. As we exhale, we're going to round the mid back, chin towards the throat, tail between the knees. You're going to open up the lower back here. Okay, and then from here, as you inhale, tail up, shine the chest forward, gazing far or eyes closed. Take a deep breath here. As we exhale, let all the air out. As we inhale, spine extension. Depending on the speed, okay, if you are going slow, I'll suggest you take 2 deep breaths on the spine extension, and as you exhale, let all the air out. You're going to repeat this about 5 to 7 times, okay, depending on how you move. Make sure there's no stress, and we need to move our spine daily. Now the next move is the yoga pose. We want to focus on releasing hip flexor tension, and also we want to slowly open up the hips in a gentle way. So let's practice the lizard pose, the modified version. So we're going to start with this position, the tabletop position. Okay, you're going to tuck your toes, and from here we're going to start by having the right foot outside of your right palm. Okay, and you want to make sure the right knee is aligned with your right ankle. Now slowly you're going to release your hip flexor tension by moving the left knee further back. So maybe this is maximum for some people, but if you're comfortable, you can go slightly further back. And next thing you want to do is to relax your toes, and we're going to start by just feeling the hips moving forward and the chest shining forward. Now pressing the left palm down firmly, we're going to slowly gentle twist the right side, and we're going to allow these knees to drop down naturally outwards, peeling the inside of the right foot off the mat, and have the palm on the inside of the knee but not pushing. Okay, and it's just going to lengthen the spine in this position, so spinal rotation, and pressing the left up down. We're not sinking to the shoulders. As we exhale, we're going to release the hips, and slowly, if comfortable, maybe the elbows may be straightened, it may not be, it does not matter as long as you feel the release in the hips. And we're opening up and stretching the opposite hip flexor. Take a couple of deep breaths here, slow, long, deep breath. And then from here, as you return, you're going to look down, step down firmly, lower the right palm down. You're going to walk your right foot outside. Okay, and you're going to come back to the tabletop position. Tuck your toes firmly, float the knees up, and we go into the downward facing dog to counter stretch. And keep the head between the arms and relax. You want to practice on both sides. And now this is the gentle lizard pose. I can also share a link with you so you can practice in my gentle yoga full tutorial practice. Now before we go to the next 3 Pilates moves, leave a comment below and let me know if the gentle lizard pose is challenging for you, because some of you may have really tight hip flexor, and I'd like to create another video for you to help you. Now moving on to the 4th move, I'm going to share with you the bridge pose, but I'm going to do 2 versions here. So we have the Pilates version and also the yoga version. So let's start with the yoga version. So we're going to lie down on the mat. Now in the yoga bridge pose, we focus on releasing the hip flexor. So we're going to have the knees hip distance apart, okay, and your feet parallel. We're going to have the fingertips touching the heels, your knees not squeezing in. And from here, we're going to lift the hips up. And let's go to the straight line first. And from here, if you are comfortable, we're going to move the hips up higher without separating the knees. Make sure the weight on the 4 corners of your feet, or imagine there's a yoga block between your knees. And if you're comfortable, you can interlock your fingers to open up the chest. And each time you inhale, you can have your hips a little bit higher to open up the hip flexor, and of course you're targeting your glutes, your hamstring, your quads, and palms down and slowly release down. So this is the yoga version. You can always bring the knees towards the chest to counter stretch. Okay, let's go into the Pilates bridge. We'll focus more on core strengthening. Okay, so from here, the knees and feet hip distance apart, but slightly further away. Then the palms just beside the hips. Again, imagine you have a yoga block between the knees. And we start with a spinal mobilization. So we're going to imprint, so moving the pelvis in this position. And as we exhale, we're going to peel the spine off the mat all the way up to the straight line. So in the Pilates practice, knees to shoulders, one straight line, rib cage placement neutral. So we are gently stretching the hip flexor, but more importantly, we want to engage the glutes, the core muscles, engaging the deeper core muscles to bring closer to the spine. And from here, we can stay in this position. And only if you're comfortable, I suggest the hands on the buttock. If you are new to this practice, we want to draw one knee up. And as we exhale, control down without sinking into your palms. So we strengthening the deep core muscles. And if you're comfortable, palms down without sinking. Inhale, left knee up, 90 degrees. And as we exhale, control down, breathing. And we're going to do maybe 2 reps, okay, right and left. Inhale, as you exhale, release down, stretching the spine, spine articulation, releasing the lower back. And last part, we relax the buttock and then hip flexor and come back to neutral pelvic placement. And draw the knees towards the chest, roll the head sideways, release any tension. Now for the fourth Pilates move, we're going to focus on core strengthening, trunk stabilization to lengthen the spine and also to support our back. And we're going to practice the hands and knees variation. So from here, we're going to start with the tabletop position. And I know a lot of you may have wrist pain, so I'm going to suggest this. You're going to clench your fist and press your thumbs down, okay, shoulders over your wrist. You're going to stay in this position, in the tabletop position. And for those who have no wrist pain, you can return to this position here, pressing your fingertips down. So make sure the hips over the knees and the shoulders stack over the wrist. So we do not want to move the trunk. We do not want to sink the belly down. So you're going to draw the belly towards the spine. Okay, and you're not rounding the upper back, lengthening the spine, shoulders away from the ears. So the easy way is just to extend your right knee and keep the toes down. Make sure the body is not shifting and make sure the hip is not sinking down. Stabilize your trunk. Only if you're comfortable, you float the leg up to hip level. Common mistake, people are not aware, okay, the legs are too high, you are stressing the lower back, you want to return to neutral and stay in this position. And if you're strong enough, maybe after a couple of practices, okay, you can have your opposite arm off, you can extend your left arm, your opposite arm, and stay here, lengthen. And most of the time, if you start rocking, that means you're still not strong enough. You can have the hands down or the toes down. So take about 2 to 3 deep breaths, return. Coming back slowly, notice that I'm not moving the trunk, my body, and back to center. And from here, you can practice the other side. Repeat on the other side. And when you complete, just bring your knees together. And we go into the shell stretch, which is similar to the child's pose. Rounding the back. You're going to have your sit bone down and forehead down. Hands beside your feet, optional. Breathing. Breathing. Inhale. And exhale, crawl up. How do you feel after the hands and knees practice? This is one of the most challenging exercises. It looks easy, but it is not. Because most people are cheating because they start to shift the body when they float the leg up. So you do need an instructor to guide you. Now share with me in the comments below, did you actually shift when you lift your leg up? I'd like to help you to improve your core strength. Now let's move on to the last move for today. We call this the Z position. Okay, so you will feel stretches on both sides of the hips. Okay, and hands here. We're going to lift up the right hand first for this position here. Sitting tall and not squeezing your shoulders. We're going to anchor the right sit bone down. We're going to open up the left side of the body. And as we exhale, we're going to slowly stretch to the side And then focus on your breathing and breathe into your hips and no tension neck or shoulders. Okay, this will give more space here, so it's not just stretching, but also breathing into this part to release from inside. All right, a lot of tension is from inside. Just normal stretches will not work. Okay, you can come back and you can also go to the opposite side by flexing the opposite arm and feel that your elbows reaching up towards the sky, and then return. So you can always practice this on both sides. It will help to release the hips. Now, if going to the Z position is challenging, you can always come back to the diamond position. I call this the diamond leg positions, where your knees bent and you're just sitting tall. You can still get a nice stretch on your hips as you practice the mermaid stretch. And you can always sit on a firm cushion or a yoga block. And here are the 5 moves to help you to keep your lower back and your hips healthy. Now, consistent is the key. If you can incorporate some of these exercises daily into your practice, you're going to feel a big change. Now, before you go today, do not forget to sign up for my free newsletter. I share tips on spinal health and also mental wellness. We want to move towards a pain-free life. If you want to dive deeper and have more guidance from me, you can explore the 8-week Mindful Pilates online course. And now if you have more time, I invite you to join me in this tutorial here to let's start practicing right now. Have a great day and I'll see you in the next practice.